We now start with the next chapter of bio, that is respiration in plants. So this is for standard 9th ICSE. So many people have got a misconception that plants do not respire during the daytime. They just have a feeling that in the daytime plants do photosynthesis, that's why they do not respire. It's only in the night time that they respire. No, you are absolutely wrong in this particular myth. That it is a myth that plants do not respire in the daytime. The plants do respire continuously, 365 days, 24 hours, continuously. The respiration in plants keeps on going. So the plants do take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide during the day as well as the night time. Only thing is that during the daytime, when it is taking in the oxygen what it is taking in is a part of the oxygen which is given out during photosynthesis. So that's why you don't feel that oxygen is taken in, because the amount of oxygen given out during photosynthesis is much more than what it is being absorbed during respiration. Similarly, the carbon dioxide which is given out during the respiration is taken in as the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. That's why the overall result tells us that during the daytime, when photosynthesis is going on, the plants take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, because the respiration part becomes a secondary or something which is hidden in the photosynthesis ka end results. And in the night time, because photosynthesis is not taking place, we consider that okay, plants give out carbon dioxide as usual. So yeah, just keep this in mind that plants respires throughout the day and night. So it does take in carbon oxygen and give out carbon dioxide during the day as well as night time. Anyway, let's start with the chapter over here. Like all other organisms, plants too require energy for carrying out bodily activities. In this chapter, you will learn about the two kinds of respiration, aerobic and anaerobic, the manner in which diffusion of respiratory gases occur, as well as a number of interesting experiments to demonstrate respiration in plants. So yes, the plants do respire. Now first thing is that we need to understand what is respiration. When I say we are respiring, yeah, I am taking in oxygen, giving out carbon dioxide. That is not the respiration. It is just inhaling and exhaling. It's just breathing. But what exactly is happening in our body or in the plant body is that when the oxygen is entering into the body, the oxygen is going to break down the glucose present in the plant body or the animal body, and that breaking down the glucose gives us carbon dioxide, water, and a compound which is the energy source for all cells, and that is the ATP. It is adenosine triphosphate. Okay, it is adenosine triphosphate. This is the energy currency of any living being. So for any living being, the energy required by the living being is going to be given by the ATP. So the process by which the glucose is getting decomposed and ATP is formed is actually respiration. And that is done in two ways. One is in presence of oxygen, and other is in absence of oxygen. The one which is in presence of oxygen is called as aerobic respiration, and one which is done in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. So it is in presence of oxygen, O2 present, it will be aerobic, and not present, O2 not present, it is anaerobic. Okay, anaerobic and aerobic. So what is respiration? All living cells in a plant as well as those in animals require energy for various activities of the body. For example, building proteins for amino acids, making starch for glucose, absorbing minerals from the soil, or laying down cell walls by plant cells are all such activities that require energy. So we can see that every body activity, okay, each and every activity what you are doing, the plant does, all the activities like absorption from the soil, or there's some kind of building up of the cell wall, तो जो भी है वो सबके लिए उनको एनर्जी लगेगा. सो दैट एनर्जी व्हाट इट इज रिक्वायरिंग इज द नीड फॉर रेस्पिरेशन. This energy is made available by the breakdown of glucose, a simple carbohydrate. So by the breakdown of glucose, this energy is going to be made available to the plant or the animal body. The chemical breaks down of glucose. The chemical breakdown of glucose occurs by utilizing oxygen and is represented by the following overall reaction. So the reaction what you are going to have over here will be given as a chemical equation over here. Chemical equation is given as C6H12O6 plus 6O2 is in the presence of enzymes is going to give you CO2, that is going to be 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy. Okay, this is the equation for aerobic respiration. So respiration in presence of oxygen when it takes place is this equation: glucose reacting with oxygen to give you carbon dioxide plus water, and energy is going to be released. There are three important characteristics of the equation in this of the respiration in this equation. First, the breakdown of glucose to carbon dioxide and water does not occur in a single step. So this भले ये equation हम लोग ने दिया एक single step equation, but actually it doesn't take in a simple step. It is not a single step thing. It is in multiple stages. This is going to be acting upon in multiple stages. So it is a series of chemical steps. These steps occur in two major phases. One is glycolysis, that is the one in which the glucose gets converted into pyruvate. So in this case, glucose gets converted into pyruvate. Okay, that is called as glycolysis, and this occurs in the cytoplasm. So cell के cytoplasm में this thing is going to take place wherein the glucose is going to get converted into pyruvate, and that is in the cytoplasm. And then the next thing is the Krebs cycle. So that is the Krebs cycle or Krebs cycle, whatever you want to pronounce it as. You can just understand the spelling KREBS. So whether it's Krab or Crab, जो लिखना है वो doesn't matter. Main thing is the spelling should be correct. So in this case, what happens is the pyruvates get converted into CO2 plus H2O. So in this case, pyruvate gets converted into CO2 plus H2O, and this takes place in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Yes, mitochondria. Okay. And apart from this, there is also going to be ATP, that is the adenosine triphosphate, and this occurs in the mitochondria. So, yeah, but in series of single steps, chemical steps, these steps occur in two major phases: glycolysis, glucose to pyruvate, occurring in cytoplasm, and Krebs cycle, pyruvate to CO2 plus H2O, 6H2O plus ATP, occurring in the mitochondria. Second is each breakdown step is due to a particular enzyme. Whatever this is going to take place, it's going to be in the presence of certain enzyme. It is because of the enzyme that such a thing is going to take place. Thirdly, the energy liberated in the breakdown of the glucose molecules is not all in the form of heat, but a large part of it is converted into chemical energy in the form of ATP, a chemical substance called adenosine triphosphate. So normally अगर हम लोग देखते हैं तो we say that whenever there is a decomposition taking place, the energy what we'll be getting will be exothermic reaction होगा और heat मिलेगा. No, it is not so. in this case, because of the presence of the enzymes, the energy what is going to be given out will not be in the form of heat, but majority of it will be in the form of ATP, which is nothing but adenosine triphosphate, the energy currency for our body or for any living body. When energy in the form of ATP is used, the ATP is converted into ADP. So here it is seen that when energy ATP is used, when it is used, it becomes ADP, that is adenosine triphosphate becomes adenosine diphosphate. Okay, the tri becomes di. That is why ATP becomes ADP. And again, when more energy is available for further breakdown of glucose, the ADP is reconverted into ATP. So if it is used, it becomes ATP, and ADP becomes ATP when there is more energy available. Means ये एनर्जी अगर मिलेगा तो फिर से ADP becomes ATP. So this is a continuous cycle, ADP to ATP, ATP to ADP. ATP to ADP कब होगा? जब एनर्जी यूज किया. Okay, that is almost like discharging a battery. तो बैटरी फुल्ली चार्ज ATP, ड्रेन हो गया ADP हो गया, ADP को फिर से चार्ज किया तो ADP becomes ATP, then again discharge and it is used. So ऐसे करके there is a cycle of ATP to ADP, ADP to ATP. So that cycle keeps on moving in the body. When more energy is available for further breakdown of the glucose, the ADP is converted into ATP and it goes on and on. One molecule of glucose on complete oxidation yields 38 molecules of ATP. So one molecule, one mole of one, it's not one molecule, it is 1 mole, and 1 mole का value एक उसका gram molecular mass से ऊपर था, that is C6 will be 6 into 12. So I will just give you this example that what is 1 mole? 1 mole will be equal to C6 है ना, तो 12 into 6 plus 1 into 12 plus 16 into 6. So there is 72 plus 12 plus 16, 6, 96. So that will be equal to 90, this is 90, 84, 84 plus 6, or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, no, and then 18, 180. So there is 180 grams. 1 mole of C6H12O6 is 180 grams. So 1 mole can produce energy equal to 38 ATP. Is it 38? I'll just, 38 molecules. So 38 ATP. 1 mole of glucose, that is 180 grams ही बोल सकते हैं, GMM है इसलिए, will produce 38 ATP. So ATP, the energy currency of the cell. All activities inside a living cell need energy which is available in the form of ATP as the immediate source. Hence, this chemical compound ATP is described as the energy currency of the cell. So, yeah, all living cells which need energy, all energy that what the cell is needing is going to be available to it only with the help of ATP. So, that's why ATP becomes the energy currency of the cell. Now, living organisms show 2 types of metabolic activities. Anabolic, that is constructive or biosynthetic process, it consumes energy. So, one thing is that the body is going to build something. It is going to be anabolic. Anabolic means constructing something. So, when it is constructive, then it is called as anabolic. And other one is catabolic, that is destructive. So, it is breaking down. So, breaking down, like respiration, is a catabolic process because it is breaking down. Anabolic is making. So, photosynthesis is a making process. It is anabolic. Okay, anabolic means making something. Catabolic is breaking something. So, anabolic activity. So, in any living organism, there are 2 kinds of activities going on. One is the anabolic activity, which is constructive or biosynthetic processes. it consumes energy, whereas catabolic is destructive or breaking down process. It gives out energy for the use by the organism. Respiration is a breakdown process by which a living cell oxidizes organic substances, glucose, and releases carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So respiration is a catabolic process of releasing energy from glucose for carrying out life processes. So you can take this thing as the definition of respiration, that respiration is a catabolic process of releasing energy from glucose for carrying out life processes. Now if you see this thing, if I would have taken glucose and I would have burned it in air, I would get the same equation, CO2 plus H2O plus energy. It's going to be the same equation. So that means, can I say that respiration and burning are one and the same? Because the equation is the same? No, it is not so. Because in burning, it's an instantaneous process, whereas respiration is by enzymes and it is a long process. So let's see what is the difference between respiration and burning or combustion. Sometimes respiration is compared with burning, such as the burning of coal. Both liberate energy and both give end products as CO2 and water. But this comparison is only superficial. The difference between the two are as follows. Respiration is a cellular process. So it is taking place due to the cells. Because it's in the cells. So that's why cytoplasm mein, mitochondria mein, usme ho raha hai. That's why it is a cellular process. Where burning is a non-cellular process. We don't require any cell for burning. Respiration occurs at body temperature. Okay, respiration करने के लिए कि हम लोग को heat up नहीं करना पड़ता उसको. It is like in our body temperature, the respiration is going to take place. Whereas burning occurs at high temperature at ignition point of the substance. Respiration occurs in steps of series of chemical steps, whereas burning takes place in a single step. Respiration carried out by enzymes. Respiration is going to be carried out by the enzymes, whereas the burning is carried out by heat. Respiration is a biochemical process. It's a biological and chemical, so biochemical process, whereas burning is a physiochemical process. Respiration energy is liberated in the form of ATP and some heat, whereas burning may all the energy is liberated as heat and light. Respiration, no light energy produced. In burning, light energy is produced. So this is the differentiation between respiration and burning. Now let us see, how does the plant respire? So what are the areas from where the plants respire? So every part of the plant, such as the leaves, stem, root, and even the deepest cell present in any region respires. Oxygen in plant is obtained from the atmosphere through three inlets. So respiration, that is this process, is a cellular process. यानी बॉडी, प्लांट बॉडी में जहाँ जहाँ सेल्स है वो सभी जगह पे ये रेस्पिरेशन हो रहा है. So we cannot say where is the respiration taking place. No, respiration is taking place in each and every nook and corner of the plant. In smallest object of the plant also there is a respiration taking place. But that doesn't mean that the gaseous exchange, that is taking in of oxygen and giving out a carbon dioxide, takes place in each and every cell. No. Taking in the oxygen from the atmosphere and giving out carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, that is done only at three places in a plant cell, okay, in the plant body. So they are stomata in the leaves. So leaf के नीचे के part में stomata जो होता है वहाँ पे सबसे पहले. Secondly, lenticels in the stem. Stem जो होता है उसके ऊपर के side पे they are got pores. They are called as lenticels. And finally, the general surface of the roots. So these are three areas where oxygen is taken in. What are the three? Stomata, lower surface of the leaf के अंदर stomata, stem के peripheral surface में, that is called as the lenticels, and the roots के general surface area. And that is why we do the ploughing and tilling, because ploughing क्यों करते हैं? So that the soil becomes loose and air can go inside, so the roots can respire. So ploughing or tilling of the soil creates tiny hair spaces around soil particles and provide the source of oxygen for the roots. Waterlogged and compact soil does not have air space which affects respiration of the roots. During daytime, due to photosynthesis, leaves produce oxygen, some of which is used in respiration and the rest is diffused out. So yes, we can see that we are plowing or tilling the soil so that there is air spaces available for the roots to respire. If there is waterlogging in that particular area or we are having too much of compact soil, then definitely the roots will not be able to get oxygen. So that is one thing. Secondly, when photosynthesis takes place, oxygen is given out by the plant, so that part of that oxygen which is given out by plant can be utilized by the plant for respiration. The carbon dioxide produced during respiration in the leaves serve as raw material for photosynthesis. Similarly, the carbon dioxide what is given out is taken in as raw material for photosynthesis. At night, even the leaves obtain oxygen from the atmosphere and give out carbon dioxide. Hence, we should avoid sleeping in the tree at the night. However, sleeping in the tree during hot midday is definitely good as one gets both oxygen due to photosynthesis and coolness due to transpiration. Yes, so in the night time, it is not so advisable. No, of course not advisable. ऐसा नहीं बोलेंगे. It is not so advantageous to sleep under the tree because the tree is anyway going to take in the oxygen from the surroundings. So ऐसा नहीं है कि tree is going to give you more oxygen during the night time also. So you get more fresh air during the night. ऐसा नहीं है. तो in the night time tree के नीचे बैठना या tree के नीचे सो जाना is not going to be any advantageous. Of course, you cannot compare the amount of oxygen present in the room and present in the outside. Outside will be definitely more. But yeah, this is just one thing. And another thing is that during the daytime, yes, of course, it is very much advantageous to sleep under a tree or sit under a tree because the tree will not only give you the shade, the coolness due to transpiration, but also oxygen by the process of photosynthesis. So this was about the respiration of. Now we see the two kinds of respiration, that is aerobic and anaerobic. So we see that the respiration is of two kinds, aerobic and anaerobic. What we have over here, the equation what I have written over here is of the aerobic one, where oxygen is going to be taking part in the reaction, or oxygen is required. So when oxygen is required for respiration, it is aerobic respiration. So normally free oxygen is used in the respiration and there is complete oxidation of glucose with the formation of carbon dioxide and water as end products. This is clearly represented by the following chemical equation. However, there are numerous steps in the entire process. Hence we have over here that C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives me 6O2 CO2 plus H2O plus यहाँ पे आएगा 38 ATP. Respiration proceeds only when the oxygen or concentration of air is available and therefore called aerobic or oxybiotic respiration. So this is the kind of respiration in which oxygen is going to be utilized. So because you have need for oxygen over here, so that this glucose gets oxidized completely and breaks down completely and gives you carbon dioxide and water and 38 ATP. So this is an aerobic respiration. So this is aerobic respiration. The another one is anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic means in absence of air. So sometimes certain parts of the plants, including fruits and seeds, may temporarily respire even in the absence of oxygen. In this type of respiration, the glucose molecule is incompletely broken down into ethanol, ethyl alcohol, and carbon dioxide. With the release of small quantity of energy, this chemical reaction can be represented by the following manner. That is, C6H12O6 will directly give you over here as 2C2H5OH plus CO2. So I'll just say 2CO2 plus only 2 ATP. Let's take this condition that suppose there is a seed which is sown deep into the soil and it was done by a, let's say, a small kid. तो उसने क्या किया, पूरा सॉइल को प्रेस कर दिया. So now the soil is not able to take in too much of oxygen for the seed. And still, what will happen? The other condition, favorable conditions available for the seed. It has got the warmth, it has got the sunlight. It has got the temperature, it has got the warmth, it has got the water. ऑक्सीजन भी थोड़ा थोड़ा मिल रहा है उसको, या तो नहीं भी मिल रहा रहेगा. तो what will happen? At that time, the seed is going to respire anaerobically, and it is going to get only 2 ATP. So that much energy, if that much energy is sufficient for that particular seed to break open through the soil and come out, then the plant will survive. And if it is not able to do so, then the plant will die dead itself. So accordingly, you will see that in certain emergency conditions, the plants are going to respire even in absence of oxygen, thereby breaking down the glucose partially and giving you only giving the plant only 2 ATP in a small quantity of energy, that is 2 ATP. So this type of respiration is called as anaerobic or anaeroxybiotic respiration, as it proceeds even without oxygen. Anaerobic respiration in any part of a plant cannot continue for more than a few days, and the plant ultimately dies. But there are certain microscopic organisms such as certain bacteria and fungi which normally respires only anaerobically. One of the example is yeast. Yeast is the example which is going to respire only anaerobically. Even the germinating seeds, when deprived of air, respire anaerobically, which will be described in an experiment. So we can now have the major difference between anaerobic and aerobic respiration. So first is aerobic respiration proceeds in presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration proceeds without using oxygen. Aerobic respiration, complete breakdown of the glucose is there, whereas here incomplete breakdown of the glucose takes place. Third thing, end products over here are carbon dioxide and water. End products over here are ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. Energy liberated in large quantity, 38 ATP out of 1 mole. Here energy produced is very small, that is 2 ATP out of 1 mole. Finally, this occurs normally throughout the life. This occurs only temporarily for a short period. So that is the difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Now we have got certain Okay, I'll do one thing. The experimental part, I'll take it as a separate video altogether. I'll just complete the last paragraph of this thing so that explanations are done together. So that is the respiration contrasted with photosynthesis. In many respects, respiration and photosynthesis in plants are distinctly opposite processes. The requirement of one are the products of the other, and therefore they are complementary to each other. This is the reason why we cannot conduct an experiment on a plant respiration during daytime in light. The fundamental differences between plant respiration and photosynthesis are given in the table. So we can see that respiration and photosynthesis are two opposite processes. To so much so that respiration का equation ऐसे जाता है ना. In case of photosynthesis, the equation is like this: CO2 plus H2O will give you C6H6O6 plus O2. Exactly opposite of this. So that's why we consider that respiration and photosynthesis are complementary to each other. That means one ka raw material is the other ka end products. Iska raw material is the end products of this thing. Okay? So that is how it works. So that's why it is exactly opposite to each other. So in the difference mentioned in table, there are at least 5 points in which photosynthesis and respiration are exactly opposite to each other. So let's see what are those. Photosynthesis and respiration. Photosynthesis occurs only in the presence of chlorophyll. Respiration occurs in all living cells. Photosynthesis occurs in the presence of light. Respiration occurs at all times. Photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide and water. Respiration uses oxygen and glucose. Photosynthesis, oxygen is released as an end product. Respiration, carbon dioxide is released as an end product. photosynthesis light energy is converted into chemical energy which is stored, whereas respiration chemical energy is partly converted into heat energy and partly useful energy for various activities. Photosynthesis results in results in the gain in weight, whereas respiration results in loss in weight. And finally, photosynthesis food is manufactured, that it's a constructive or anabolic activity, whereas respiration food is broken down, oxidized, that is destructive or catabolic processes. So you see, respiration, and also we can easily compare the respiration in plants and respiration in animals. So the basic aspect of respiration are same in all the organisms. However, there are some differences in respiration between plants and animals. For example, the plants, there is no gaseous transport. The respiratory gases simply diffuse in and out by the cell-to-cell diffusion. In animals, the blood transport respiratory gases. So in animals or humans, the blood is being transporting the oxygen and taking in the carbon dioxide and giving it to the lungs. तो पूरा होता है. But plant में all the cell-to-cell gas transfer होता है. One of the end products of the anaerobic respiration in plants is ethanol, ethyl alcohol, whereas in case of the animals, it is not ethanol, it will be lactic acid. So while animals, it is lactic acid. And finally, is in plants, the process produces little heat as compared to animals. So this is about the last part. And yeah, they are just given one small thing, that why does one not sleep under a tree? So the carbon dioxide released by tree during respiration at night is too little to cause any harm. However, the droppings of the perching birds and the night activities of the insects, spiders, snakes, वो ज़्यादा dangerous है. So that's why, okay, that's okay. So we'll stop this video here and we'll continue with the next video for the experiments which are there. There are 5 experiments over here. So we'll take the experiments as a separate video altogether.